So in this video, I'm going to share with you how to make money as an insurance agent. I'm also going to break down how you receive commissions and how you actually get paid as an insurance agent. One of the biggest lies that I'm going to debunk in this video is I'm going to expose the truth about how insurance agents make money. All you see, and the reason I make this video is because I saw a video of a guy said he sold $200,000 of life insurance, and that's how much he's going to make, $200,000. But most life insurance agents are broke. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly the math behind why agents are broke. And if your bank account's struggling or you're not making money that you want to be making as an insurance agent, this video is going to help. So let's jump into it. The dream of a life insurance agent, what is sold in the marketplace right now is get your insurance license, you're going to make $200,000 per year, and you're going to get rich. But here's the reality. Just because you sell $200,000 of life insurance annual premium does not mean that is your income. Okay, this is what's sold. This is what all these MLM guys are doing. They're saying, this guy sold $200,000 of premium. Well, this is how much he made. That is not accurate. And they'll say, well, hey, they made $200,000 at AP. That's how much they made. They worked 40 hours per week, so they're making $96.15 per hour. That is the BS and the baloney that we're going to break down here. Okay, so how does insurance agents actually make money? There's a lot of different things that actually impact the compensation of how you get paid commission-wise as an insurance agent. There's a few things I want to break down. Now, here's the reality of how to make money as an insurance agent. The first thing is your annual premium. This is called AP. This is your annual business. You can see this is not my sales. This is called potential sales. Just because I sold $200,000 of business does not mean I sold $200,000. There's a lot of different variables that impact the word potential sales. The second thing that impacts how much money you make as an insurance agent is what your contract rate is. If you're with a captive company, you might be at 50%. If you're with a broker independent, you might be at 100%. But for this example, I would say an average commission rate on insurance products could be around 80%. So this is how much you're going to make on the policies that you sell. Your contract rate is basically your commission rate. Now, what makes your annual premium? Going back up here, this is your monthly cost of insurance times 12. Okay, so when it comes to what calculates your annual premium, it's how much business did you sell, their monthly payment times 12. Your contract rate is going to be 80%. Now, the third thing that you need to factor in when it comes to how much money insurance agents make is what is your placement rate. This is what's really a lot missed in this dream of how insurance make all this money is what is your placement rate. Let me give an example of what placement rate is, and let me share with you why this is such an important metric and how much money you make as an insurance agent. Your placement rate is the percentage of clients that make their first payment. Your placement rate is the percentage of your clients that you sold that made their first payment. So for example, if you sold $200,000 of life insurance, but only 70% of them actually made their first payment, you did not sell or you're not going to get commission on $200,000. You're going to get the 200 times 70%. Okay, 200 times 70%. So what actually get paid on is what your placement rate is. Now, a lot of these companies, they teach you to sell the wrong way. And if you're selling $200,000 of final expense life insurance and you're at a 50% placement, that means right then and there, you made half of the money on that. So you only sold actually $100,000. And this is the dream. People say, I sold $200,000, but they have a placement rate of 50%, which means you actually only are going to get paid on $100,000. But what they're going to flex on the leaderboards is that you made $200,000, which is a complete lie. And that's why one of the most important metrics that you need to track is what is your placement rate. Now, the fourth variable that is considered in your commission rate of how much money you make as an insurance agent is right here, your mix of business. Okay, let me break this down because this can be confusing to some. Your mix of business is your percentage of simplified issue versus guaranteed issue. Okay, simplified issue business, if you're selling final expense, is a policy that does not have a waiting period. So anything that starts day one, so the healthier they are, is going to be simplified issue. But let's say you sell someone who has cancer or someone who has really bad heart problems, and they get a policy with a 2-year waiting period. That is called a guaranteed issue product. Now, why is this important? Because your commission rate is impacted based off this mix of business. For example, if you sell simplified issue, your contract rate could be 100%. If you sell simplified issue, your contract rate could be 110%. But if you sell a guaranteed issue product, which is a 2-year waiting period, your commission rate could maybe be 50% on that product or 60% on that product. What that means and why that's so important, it's because you're going to make less money on a guaranteed issue product. You're going to make more money on a simplified issue. So for example, right then and there, the dream outcome. Let's say you sold $200,000 of annual premium. Let's say all of it has gone into effect, but all of it is guaranteed issue. Then all of your business is going to be at a lower contract rate. So that's why that number matters, because your simplified issue versus guaranteed issue rate is going to impact what your contract rate is. Now, the second thing that the mix of business is going to impact is what's going to actually receive in your bank account. So let me explain this to you. If you sell a simplified issue product, you get typically what's called the 9-month advance, meaning that they're going to advance you 75% of your commissions in your bank account. That's called your front-end cash collected. So if you sell a policy that is simplified issue, you're going to get 75% of that, or your 9 months at the higher commission rate because it's simplified issue. That's going to hit your bank account. Now, the other 3 months will come after month 9, 10, 11, and 12. But you're only going to see what's going to hit your bank account is the first 75% or the first 9 months. Okay? So let's say you sell $200,000. You're not going to see all of that. You're going to see only 75% of that, not 100% of that, which is a lot of what the illusion is and the dream is. Okay? Now, going back to the mix of business for guaranteed issue, you're going to have the lower compensation rate because they're unhealthier clients, and then you're also going to get a lower advance rate, meaning that you're only going to get 50% of that up front. So for example, you're only going to get 50% up front, which means the other half you're going to get in the next 6 months would be, so in the first 6 months, you're going to get paid. That's going to all hit your bank account at once, and then month 7, month 8, month 9, month 10, month 11, and month 12 are going to be your residuals that are going to accumulate for the other 50%, because the 50% has to come on the back end here, okay? So that is why when you sell all mix of business, you're not going to get the 75% advance. You're only going to get 50% of the advance, which means that your actual cash that's actually coming into your bank account is a lot lower. So for example, if I sell a $100 policy per month, that's $1,200 of annual premium. I times that by my contract rate, and then I times that by my advance, which would be 75% advance or either 50% depending on the mix of business. So that is crucial. That is never talked about here, is what is your mix of business, because that impacts how much money is going to actually go into your bank account. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about as we come a little bit closer here is going to be your chargebacks, because your chargebacks are going to impact how much money you're receiving. If I have a $1,000 chargeback and I have $1,000 that are coming in, well, the money that comes into my bank account is going to go first, get removed because of the chargeback. It's going to pay off the chargebacks first, and then whatever's left over goes into your bank account. So if you have a ton of chargebacks and you sold $200,000, your money that you're making is going to pay off your chargeback debt. It's actually not going into your bank account to actually fuel or live your lifestyle. So this is just for an example sake here. Let's say chargeback rate is 30%, meaning that 30% of your business is going to fall off. They're going to make the payment, you're going to receive the commission, but in the next 12 months, 30% of that is going to churn, or 30% of that's going to fall off, meaning that you're going to have to pay at least 30% of your business back in chargebacks, okay? So you're not keeping $200,000. Just take 30% off of this right now. You're going to be paying that back off in chargeback, which I believe, if I'm doing my math right, 30% of 100,000 is, I think, 30 grand. And then times that by 2, that's going to be $60,000 that you're going to be paying back in chargebacks. Just quick math, and I might be wrong. But the next thing I want to talk about is your operational costs. So to sell the $200,000, everyone's like, man, I made $200,000. Well, where was your leads at? What was your CRM? What was your operating costs? And that's what we want to factor into the dream of $200,000 that someone's making. Okay, so in this example, we're going to give you that we have $1,200 that we're spending on leads per week. We're also going to take that our CRM cost is going to cost about $125 per week, which is about $500 per month. And then ultimately, we have over $200 per month in other operating costs. Maybe it's rent, maybe it's expenses, computer, Wi-Fi, bills. It's going to take us out to a total per month of $70,400 in operating costs just to fund this business. To get the $200,000, it costs us $70,000 just to stay alive, to do what we need to do. Okay. Now I want to share with you guys how you actually make money. So we're going to take this formula, potential sales, which is our AP, our contract rate, our placement rate, our mix of business, minus our chargebacks, minus our operational expenses. And let me share with you here how you actually get paid as an insurance agent. So let's take this example and share with you what it plays out to be. Let's say you sold $200,000. You're probably on a podcast, you're probably flexing, you're probably on the top of leaderboards, and you're probably thinking like you're the man, okay? I've been here before, I lived this life, that's why I'm making this video, because I'm here to expose myself. I didn't know better. I did not know better. Okay, so $200,000, I'm killing it, I'm crushing it, I'm like, I'm making all this money, right? You take that $200,000, but then you have to multiply that $200,000 by your contract rate. So the business that you have, let's say all of it right now, you times that by your contract rate. Right then, based off your contract rate, you're taking 80% of that $200,000 times your 80% contract rate, you're at $160,000, okay? Which is still good money, right? But then you take your $160,000 of what you have here, and you take that here, and you multiply that by your placement rate. So out of the $160,000 that I'm going to be getting out of my contract, I'm going to take that and multiply that by 70 as my placement rate. So out of the $160,000, only 70% is going to actually make their first payment, which means already right there, based on placement rate, I'm going to be at $112,000 after my placement rate, because the other 30%, they wanted the policy, but they can't afford it, so they stopped the payment, or they canceled it, or they gave me the wrong banking information, or they, just didn't make their first payment. Very common in insurance sales. Then you're going to multiply that by your advance mix. Remember earlier how I was talking about your mix of business impacts your contract rate and your upfront cash collected? Well, let's take that advance mix. We're going to take 60% of our business. So we're going to take that 60% of our business, which was simplified issue. And then we have our 40% of our business, which is guaranteed issue. So out of the 200,000, 60% was simplified issue, which means higher commission rate. And then 40% of that 200,000 was guaranteed issue. You multiply that out, we get an average of 0.65 is our average mix of business. Now here's the math. You take the 112 of what we have after placement, you multiply that by your advance mix, which was 65%, and then right then and there, what's going to actually hit your bank account if you sold $200,000, you're only going to have $72,800 in cash that actually going to be upfronted to you from the insurance company is what's going to hit your bank account. $72,800. So you think you just sold all this business, but after the placement, after your contract rate, after business falls off, $72,000 actually hit your bank account. Okay. Then you have even a company in any of your chargebacks. 30% of that $72,000 is going to fall off, which is going to take the $72,800 times that by 30% for fall off and chargebacks. That's $21,000 that you have to be prepared to give back to the insurance company. So that's going to be $21,840. And then you have your $70,000 in costs that we talked about right here, operational costs that you can't not have. So at the end of it, you sold $200,000, and here's what the numbers break down. You sold $72,000. You have $72,800 in upfront cash, which we just seen here. You subtract the $21,840 in chargeback debt, and you subtract your overall operating cost of $70,000. And right then and there, you are in the negative $19,000 and you've lost money. So this is an extreme example, but I want to share with you how you can calculate your income with your AP, with your contract rate, with your placement rate, with your mix of business, with your chargebacks, with your operating costs. These all impact how much money you make. And I didn't even talk about card business and advances and things like that. This is a basic formula that you can live by to calculate how to make money as an insurance agent, how much money you're going to make as an insurance agent. And when you get down to it, this is why people sell all this business and then are on top of the leaderboards. And then 2 months later, you're like, hey, where's John? He just sold 200,000. Where he's at? Well, John's trying to get a job at Starbucks because he is now in debt. Because of all the lead bills, all the expenses, he didn't understand how to manage his money. He didn't understand how this formula worked. And this is why agents fail in the industry. So if you guys like this video and want more like it, it's a quick breakdown of how insurance agents make money and how to calculate your costs to make sure that you are making money as an insurance agent. If you enjoyed, let me know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Cheers.